This is just a brief introduction to Chapter 11 to show you what we are going to do, and then there will be videos that follow that go into detail. We're going to study 4 non-chord tones: the passing tone, neighbor tone, suspension, and retardation. Here are the abbreviations for the non-chord tone. Passing tone is P, neighbor tone is N, an S, and an R. You've seen these many times in musical examples in the textbook and workbook, and they've always been cited by putting them in parentheses each time. What is a non-chord tone? It is a tone that is not included in the chord that's playing. It's a dissonant tone to the chord, but it adds embellishment and variety to the music. We're going to look at each one and show you how to determine them. And what you do is you look at the note that comes before it and the note that comes after it and the figure. For instance, this one goes up by step. This goes down by step. This is the preparation. This is the dissonant note. And this is the resolution. Preparation and resolution. And that's the 3-note figure we look at. A passing tone goes up or down by step. A neighbor tone goes up by step and back down by step, or the opposite, returning to the same note. The preparation and the resolution will be the same, and then it can go up or it can go down. A suspension is held over and resolves down. A retardation is like an upward suspension, held over, resolves up. Okay, let me talk about each one. If, for instance, this chord in this measure was all a GBD chord, or it might be EGB, the A is dissonant to it. So you determine it by what is the harmony going on at this point. The chord can change from here to here. And passing tones can happen off the beat or on the beat. A lot of times there are 8th notes in between a beat, but sometimes they can happen on the beat. We will look at them in music in a little bit. Neighbor tones are not nearly as common as passing tones. Passing tones are used more often than anything else. Neighbor tones are a little less common for some reason. They can be on the beat or between the beats. They can be a half note, or that wouldn't be very common, but a quarter note or an 8th note or even a 16th note. Pretty easy to find. If this chord were, let's just say, C major, and then this chord over here were A minor, C, E, G, and A, C, E, then if this note happened at the same time the C major chord was sounding, then it would be dissonant. It would actually happen to be dissonant even if it were the A minor chord that's sounding. If it's dissonant, you look at the before and the after, the preparation and the resolution, and you determine its name by that. A suspension we're going to talk about in a lot more detail, but basically a suspension is held over and then it resolves down by step. This is a half step, but it can resolve a whole step, just down by step to the next line or space. It happens on a beat and on a chord change. It doesn't happen between the chords, and right at this point would be a chord change. Retardation also happens on the beat and on a chord change, and as we'll talk about later, it will be in the melody voice only and soprano only, although a suspension can be in any voice. Suspension is much more common than a retardation. That's it for the introduction. Now watch all the other videos which will explain them in more detail.